leaders in lawsuits push forward because of the many different aspects that go into controlling risk. It's important for every golf course to have a safety and risk management plan in order to run as effective and efficient as possible. Though there are many areas of golf that you cannot control, it's important to be able to control the ones that are. Um, the different controllable factors that we found are facilities, hazards, equipment, staff, players and participants, and spectators. First area I'm going to talk to you about is the facilities. Facilities of the golf course include the clubhouse, driving range, and the course itself. The main aspects of a driving range that need maintained: the spacing between the mats and the safety netting to prevent balls from entering the course itself. The golf course has many different aspects that need to be monitored. These factors would include cart paths, benches, valve covers, stairs to any tee boxes, wet, slippery areas on the course, holes, trees, root exposures, and the overall condition of the course. The risk management plan for the facilities of a golf course on a day-to-day basis would be given to all employees through a checklist of aspects that they need to control each day. The clubhouse checklist would include conditions of the bathroom, conditions of the stairs, locker room facilities, and other aspects along those lines. Inspecting the driving range would include making sure the conditions of the mats are in good shape, spacing between each mat is sufficient, and the netting around the range is also in top shape. Also making sure proper signage is up. That way golfers know where to stand, where to hit the ball, so they can stay as safe as possible. Golf course inspection will be performed by all maintenance staff throughout the day. The grass would need to be mowed often, bunkers raked, checking the overall conditions of the course, and different things like that. One area that would need inspected is the overall condition of the course because of the weather. One of the biggest lawsuits in golf is golfers slipping on wet conditions on the course. Puddles on the course would need to be roped off, and signs would need to be posted near any slipperier area on the tee boxes or anywhere on the course. With enough rain on the course, power carts also need to be limited to cart path only. Driving the carts over wet conditions can damage the course and cause more injuries to golfers. Training meetings would need to be held often to train all employees what exactly to look for and how to handle each situation. The next factor I'm going to talk to you about is the hazards. Many lawsuits are caused by golfers hitting another golfer with a ball. While many times this cannot be controlled, there are ways of maintaining this issue and limiting the injuries that are caused. A word that is used often for players hitting a ball in the direction of another player is the word for. Courses need to promote this word, putting it on signs so that golfers are aware and educated on how to react when they hear that word or when they hit a ball, towards another player. Players also need to be educated on where to stand. If a golfer of the same group is hitting the ball, the other players in that group need to be standing behind the player. Players should never walk into the fairway without being aware of where all golfers on that hole are located. Another issue is balls being hit outside of the course and into neighboring properties. This issue can be maintained by putting up nets near the neighboring properties. Tee boxes can also be placed in positions where it's harder for golfers to hit, into areas outside of the golf course's property. Another hazard that's a big issue is weather conditions. Lightning or heavy rain and storms can be extremely dangerous for golfers. Course managers need to warn golfers of potential storms that are coming and monitor when players are allowed to be to be on the course during the bad conditions. Managers should also follow future weather conditions throughout the day and know when the course should be shut down. Next factor is equipment. All equipment needs to be inspected by staff daily to make sure everything is in great condition. Most incidents occur because the equipment hasn't been properly maintained. A proper rental agreement needs to be signed by all golfers choosing to rent golf carts. This contract would state that all golfers will drive the cart properly, have a valid driver's license, over the age of 21, and assume all injury risks caused by improper driving of the cart. Most incidents with golf cart accidents occur by people between the age of 18 and 21. Accidents can be lowered by increasing the minimum age requirement to drive the cart. To implement this, staff needs to check each and every cart before and after each golfer uses them to make sure they are in good working condition. All staff members would also need to be trained to have each golfer sign a rental agreement and file contracts away. Staff for the course will be my next focus. A properly trained staff is essential in limiting risk in association with the course. All departments of the course will need to be trained differently to know what to be aware of and how to properly maintain their department. Each employee will need to go through extensive training courses to know how to manage their department and limit any risks. A monthly meeting needs to be held with all employees in each department. This meeting will include all incidents and safety concerns for each department that has happened throughout the month and an action plan to solve each risk. Players and participants will be the next section. It is important to accommodate all different types of players as a golf course manager. One area of concern is accommodating players with a disability. There needs to be specialized rules for players with disabilities. The Casey Martin vs. PGA Tour case is a perfect example of course not accommodating a person with a disability. Casey Martin pretty much sued the PGA because they have a rule stating that all players must walk each round. And Casey has a rare disease that makes it difficult for him to walk. So he won the case and is now allowed to drive a cart during different tournaments. Courses should have ramps going into the clubhouse and specialized parking to accommodate people with disabilities as well. Many people with a disability will go to spectate major golf tournaments, and they need to be accommodated accordingly to limit any risk of the course. Another way of limiting risk of any issues is to promote proper golf etiquette on the course. One way of doing this is to have a list of proper etiquette on the scorecard or even signs around the course. Different ways of promoting proper etiquette, would include letting faster groups play ahead of a slower group, stay quiet while others are hitting, using the word "for" if a ball is heading towards another player, and limiting the amount of players to each group to 4 players. Golf etiquette can be placed on signs throughout the course, like I said, to keep players educated on how to act and how to use proper etiquette while on the course. Another big issue in golf is alcohol consumption on the course. Alcohol needs to be limited on the course and cannot be purchased or can only be purchased through the course. Players cannot bring their own alcohol onto the course. That way you can limit the amount of alcohol that they can consume. To enforce this, the course can have a starter check each receipt of each golfer that is playing around. They can also check how much alcohol each player has. It has been reported that over 50% of power cart accidents were reported that the driver had alcohol in their system. So obviously this is a huge issue, and to limit the amount of alcohol um, a golfer can purchase, it will limit the amount of accidents tremendously. Spectators are the last area of concern we will focus on. Spectators can be put into two main categories. Uh, the two categories are a normal round spectator and a tournament spectator. Normal round spectators need to be educated by staff on where to stand while watching their group play. The number of spectators allowed on the course at one time should also be limited to one per group. This will help speed up the pace of play and limit the amount of risk a course has of any accidents occurring. Tournament spectators are limited by where they can go by grandstands and ropes that line the course. It is important that the course set up ropes 15 to 20 yards away from each fairway, tee box, and green. Meeting should be held weeks prior to each major tournament, and course directors, along with tournament directors, need to sit down and analyze the expected amount of spectators coming to the tournament and determine the proper placement of ropes along with the grandstands. Spectators that are walking need to be educated on where to be throughout the round so they do not get hurt. Course's written policy will be written down for each spectator that comes into the tournament, and they must sign an assumption of risk form, especially if they are not very familiar with the game of golf and have little experience on the course. After each day of the tournament, meetings need to be held to discuss any issues that occurred throughout the day and an action plan to solve them. That pretty much concludes our presentation on golf course safety and risk management. I appreciate you listening.